This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. Let's start 2026 with a hard truth. There's no perfect time to build the future you secretly dream of, and there's no time to waste. With support from a Talkspace therapist, you can make this the year you bravely go out and grab what you need from life, whether that's outer rewards or inner peace. Just go to Talkspace.com to be matched with a licensed online therapist. You can start messaging with your therapist right away and schedule live virtual sessions over video, audio, or chat. Your Talkspace therapist can help you create personalized strategies for making the changes and achieving the goals most important to you. Talkspace accepts most insurance with an average copay of $15, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com and save $80 with code SPACE80. That's SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Word. Okay. Go.
Okay. Today we are talking about something that I think more women experience than they even know is why do you still have pain after your mastectomy, after your breast reconstruction, after lumpectomy, even though it may have been years ago. This comes up a lot on social media. Whenever I post about it, I get lots of like, oh my gosh, that's me. So I think it's under that big umbrella of things we're not talking about, and we think we're the only one who is experiencing it, but
It's me, and I'm 13 to 15 years out. I don't keep track, but all the weird pains that you're like, wait a second, what is that? Like these sharp
Mhm,
pains. For me, it's always like kind of by the armpit
mhm,
on the outer edge of where the breast would have been. I had a double mastectomy.
mhm.
So I don't know what that is, but they're like sharp and it feels like it actually feels like a cramp.
Okay.
I
We
don't
will
know.
get to that. I have an idea
Okay,
what that
good.
might be.
Gonna keep me in
Something
suspense.
something we've talked about before in this podcast is the word mastectomy itself. I think from the very beginning, before you even have your surgery, we're not really set up for success on the other end. So the word mastectomy is just such a nice, clean way of saying we're amputating your boobs.
Oh, I hate that's so polarizing for me, that word amputation. Yeah.
And that's just it exactly, right? But because I think it is polarizing, you're like, whoa, that's a big deal. Like when you hear that, you think that's a big deal. And then I think you will then react through, like you'll give yourself a little bit more grace. Everyone around you understands, wow, she's been through a really big deal. Let me support her. But when we use the word mastectomy, that's where I think we get into oh, it's just a free boob job and
Yeah.
all of
And then I think that's the silver lining. I had to get up to close the door, but
Mhm,
I think that's the silver lining that people try to figure out, like especially people who have had kids or breastfed,
mhm,
their
mhm,
breasts change, and then they're like, okay, well now I'm getting a boob job to lift them
mhm.
back up or whatever, but it never is what you envision.
Yes, and that actually is a great point because there is all this research that the expectations you have going into surgery can really influence how you do on the other side of it. So if you have all these expectations, like actually it is a silver lining and it's mastectomy, it's not that big of a deal, blah 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 blah, and then you go through it and it's like, wait a second, this feels like a big deal. I didn't expect it to. And that disconnect can really kind of like fuck with your head, like can really get you in a place of like not feeling like you're healing, questioning what you're feeling, all these sorts of things. So going into it, understanding like there's probably going to be some grief, right? Like this is a big change. All of those things can
Yeah.
really kind of like then when you feel that on the other end, you're like, okay, no, I knew I was going to feel this. I'm not shocked by this. I'm not questioning
I
that.
think doing your research on it, which there's so much at our fingertips, and
Hmm.
listening to podcasts like this of people
Hmm.
who've been through it and professionals who have all that data and experience
Hmm.
working with cancer patients like you, I just feel like information is helps so much because
Hmm.
there's a middle line between going down the negative, right? The negative
Mhm.
path
Mhm.
where I'm going to be, it's going to look horrible. It's going to, and
Right. Yes,
manifesting
that's
that.
not helpful.
And then manifesting issues and problems with your plastic surgeon and all those things versus also staying positive, but staying positive with talking to people who have been through it,
With being realistic.
being
Yeah.
realistic and
Yeah. Yeah.
getting that
Yeah.
information when you can. So
And
yeah,
I love your point about talking to other women who've gone through it because I've seen as a physical therapist, surgeons when they are preparing you for these procedures, they look at it like I do so many of these a day. This is just a Monday for me. Like they don't understand, and I don't think they're always well equipped to share with you
yeah,
like what this is actually going to be like. Your surgeon might say, "Oh no, you can move your arms, and after the first 2 weeks, it should be fine." Not filling in, and it's that in between that can be really startling, like, oh, I'm supposed to be able to move my arms but it hurts, is that normal? Like all of these sorts of things can create a big sense of anxiety, in your body, which then, we know anxiety just kind of gets a life of its own.
has life of its own. I feel like we can do a whole podcast episode on surgeons and bedside manner
You've got some
because
stories.
I have stories, but my plastic surgeon, yeah, he was like, top in his field, but let me tell
Mhm.
you, like, going into it, yeah, they're just like, shut up and let me do my job. And
Right.
it's not very settling.
It can really almost minimize what you as the patient are going through because
Yeah,
from their point of view, it's totally different. Like, oh no, this was a success. I did my job. Everything's great.
we're gonna get all the tissue out of there and you'll be fine. Yeah, no.
Totally. And then something else we should touch upon is our brain has a map of the body in there. So that's why you can like look at a shirt and know how it's going to look on you. Like you just like know what your body is. You can walk in the dark and know that you can like fit through that, not bump into things. But then when you have your mastectomy, suddenly that brain map is altered, right? So you've had breasts for however many years and now they're gone and maybe there are new ones in its place, maybe they're expanders, but it takes your brain map a second to more than a second actually to really catch up with that. So I've heard women say, and I don't know if you experienced this, Chris, but like, I just don't feel like it's my body. These don't feel like mine.
Mhm.
This kind of like weird disconnect where it's like, it's your body, but it's not your body.
Yeah, there's a whole transition process that I feel like you have to go through.
Hmm.
Um, for me, I was lucky enough, although I didn't go that big with my
Hmm.
implants. Um, and I feel like for me, I really lucked out and feeling like they just became part of my body. Maybe because they didn't get in the way. Like I
Hmm.
did like a big B, kind of like
Hmm.
what I had before. I didn't go bigger. And they didn't, I'd never, they really just kind of melted into me where sometimes I would forget that I
That,
have
I mean, that's best case right there, right? That you
implants.
forget. And I'm sure.
A lot of my friends, sorry, but a lot of my
Mhm.
friends who have gone a little bigger have had that pain. I don't know, maybe than they
Mhm.
were, maybe that's something that, or when they're playing tennis, they feel like they feel it, or when they're sleeping. Maybe I'm just one of the lucky ones, thank God,
Mhm.
that they do feel like part of my body. And I've had two surgeries. I had one reconstruction
Mhm.
with the norm when I was diagnosed, and then I had them switched out 10 years later to the implants that don't leak and don't can't leak. So
Was that switch out surgery a lot easier than the other ones? Just curious. Now that like you'd already gone
yes.
through it once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so much easier. Well, and mentally too, I'm not dealing with like, oh my God, am I gonna, I did chemo after. So,
Hmm.
oh, what is that gonna look like and all that? But like, and we're talking about pain after mastectomy or reconstruction for that matter, I knew what to expect. The numbness, because
Right.
that's part of it. It's not pain, but it's like this phantom numbness that you can't, like, you put your hands on. We're on YouTube, so if you are listening, on Apple or wherever you get your podcast, go to YouTube so you can see because I'm pointing places, people.
She's
I'm
doing a great job.
pointing different places. Anyway, but make sure to subscribe. Anyway, that's my
Kind
plug. So yes, like in here under my armpit towards,
of like
the
side
outer
boob.
edge, side boob, it was like numb and like sometimes you get these itches and you don't know where the hell the itches are. And is a weird thing. And you're like itching all around and you're like, where's that itch? I'm still itchy, but I can't itch it.
And that can be your brain map too, right? Like almost like phantom boob syndrome, or I don't know why
Totally.
it more often feels like phantom itch. Like you hear a lot about the itch. I have heard that pressing deep into like your shoulder blade. So if it was on your left side and you're getting a left phantom boob itch, if you press into that left shoulder blade, that can
Mhm.
sometimes help release the itch. I would
Interesting.
love to hear what other people have found. Sometimes vibration can help too. Um,
I
sort of,
got, and if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, I should say, write some comments on the bottom because I want to know what everyone
yeah,
else is experiencing
I
too.
would love to hear that
Just
too.
so we can address it in later episodes. But yeah, I mean, there's random pain. The further out you get from, I will say, when I got them switched out, to answer your question, 10 years later, the pain is minimal. Like
Hmm.
there's nothing. For me, it was very easy. The scars completely 95% went away, maybe even more. Even on the radiated breast. So I consider myself lucky and you
But you
know,
said, like, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said, well, I knew what to expect.
yeah,
And that, like, so not knowing what to expect, back to what we were saying earlier, and how surgeons don't always set you up in the best way. They've got their skill set. That's not always one of them. But
mhm.
knowing what to expect, that it is normal to have some sort of pain. It is normal to feel disconnected. Um, and let's also, something else we should appreciate is, unlike, say, a knee surgery. So you have knee surgery, you have pain in your knee. Okay. All right. Expect that. Our breasts sit right over our chest. And so you have that surgery and it can feel like pressure. It can feel like pain. It can feel hard to take a deep breath. That is also what anxiety feels like. So that's a whole nother layer that's separate from, like I said, the knee surgery, which is its own challenge, but a different kind of challenge.
I had that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels like I remember explaining it to my oncologist, Philomena, Dr. Philomena. Like it feels like a man with a size 12 boot is stepping on your chest.
Mm,
And she's like,
mhm,
oh, I'm like, I guess I was having panic attacks during it.
mhm,
But I have friends that can't, when you go get a massage and you want to lay down on the table versus
mhm,
they can't lay down face down on the table anymore.
mhm.
They
Okay.
have to do a chair massage because of their implants, because
Yeah.
of their reconstruction, or just implants in general, like even
Right.
without. So yeah, it's a huge thing for your body to have to get used to. Even if
And then with that anxiety feeling, like
Mhm.
Dr. Philomena said to you, it can be hard to know, like, okay, because my ribs are a little stuck. It's really common that after surgery, you're not moving your ribs. When we breathe, our ribs move, like they're designed to move. We don't really think about them as big movers, but if you watch like a little baby sleeping, you can really,
Mhm.
they're so good at it, the way they inhale and their chest expands and exhale. When we are in pain or we're scared because the surgery was on top of the rib cage, when we breathe, we might take really shallow breaths, or we might breathe all up in our chest, not in our rib cage. And that can kind of feeds right into that anxiety feeling, right? If you're not taking things that get us out of anxiety, slow breathing, all that kind of like relaxing, the vagus nerve stimulation. But when we're like, I can't breathe, it hurts, it just can make it even worse, which can feel really scary.
Yeah, you're making me breathe deeply right now, which I
I
feel
hope
like
everyone is.
when people remind me to breathe, I feel like I haven't been breathing all day. That's
Hmm. And
I,
actually, Chris, let's do a little breathing experiment right now. A little, we're
oh,
gonna assess our ribs. So, listeners at home, if you're driving, just come back to this later. This is a great time to find us on YouTube to watch what we're doing. But you're going to make your hands into little claws or like little C shapes, and then put them on your ribs under where your boobs would be. So your thumbs are towards the back, fingers are facing forward. Then go ahead and take an inhale. And just notice what happens in exhale. So as you're inhaling and exhaling, you should feel with the inhale that your hands, like the ribs expand into your hands. And then when you exhale, if you want, put a little pressure that goes sort of down and in. So almost like you're angling towards your belly button to help those ribs close during the exhale. And then on your next inhale, now that they're closed, they should be able to open. And you might find that if you had radiation, that the radiated side doesn't move as well as the other side.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Ideally, yeah, they should move symmetrically, but it's a great way to kind of check in and see what's going on with your body. Maybe you were feeling anxious because your ribs aren't even moving. If you find they're not moving, your little action item is just play with this. Just try to put a little bit of pressure. If you notice it, say the left side isn't moving as well, just bring your focus to it. And weirdly, just doing that with your brain can help expand and give you a little bit of more movement.
I love that. And I think that's also why, like, sometimes when I do guided meditations, which I should be doing more, and
Hmm.
I'm going to, but talk about action items, but they always say, like, put a hand on your chest and on your stomach. I feel like the
Yeah.
touch of that really just, of those spots really just helps resonate those area, make you more aware of
Yes, and back to it's helping your brain map too.
the
You know,
brain
the
map.
map of your body. Yeah, just by having your hands there. Other ways to help your brain map is I think it's common right after surgery, the idea of touching those new breasts can be very scary, or touching where the scars are. But over time, you want to make sure your incisions are healed if this is a newer procedure. But just looking in a mirror as you're touching, just really kind of like taking those slow, deep breaths, but letting your hands sort of touch the almost like the makes me think of the landscape, like a mountain, like a mountain. Just trying to feel the new landscape of your body with your hands. That input through your fingers goes right to your brain and helps with that brain mapping, can help you feel better.
There's so much more, and I don't know when this episode is going to be released, before or after our interview with Jessica St. Clair, the actor, but she was mentioning EMDR tapping. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, right? Like releasing, I don't really know because I haven't done it yet, but I plan to. But like the touch is really powerful, which we
Yes.
don't. And now that you're talking to me about this brain mapping thing, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot here. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fair to remember too that, there are scars over your ribs. Sometimes scars heal and go about their, we don't think about them twice, but oftentimes scars can be little stinkers, like they heal. And now, just as if I had another YouTube moment, if my shirt here had a tear and I stitched it up, there's going to be pulling, like there's something has
Yeah.
changed. So, as kind of gory as it is to think about, the scars are where they had to close you up, right? Like it's
Yeah.
kind of scary to think about, but that when you think about it that way, though, it does make sense why you feel pulling. Things might not be moving as easily. So if once your scars are all healed, meaning nothing's oozing, nothing's crusty, there's no scabs, it also can be helpful to take a little bit of lotion and just kind of massage along the scars to help those guys loosen up and feel better.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I love that. I can't, like, it's so crazy that as human beings, when we're cut, we just heal ourselves.
It's wild when you think about it, right?
It's like, oh, we're aliens. Not really, just joking. But I mean, it's crazy, right? Like you
Yeah,
watch
it's
like
incredible.
movies that like people like get cut,
Like a starfish, right? You like loses the limb, it grows back. But yeah,
yeah.
we have a cut and we can fill that in.
It's
So,
truly amazing what our bodies can do and the healing and, just like in connecting mind, body, brain, like what you're saying,
mhm,
really
mhm.
great. So,
Yeah. And so remember, like your body's been through a lot. If you have any symptoms like pain that is getting worse or pain that it doesn't matter if you're moving, if you're lying down, like you can't find a position that makes it feel better, pain that doesn't respond to Advil or Tylenol, pain associated with fevers or weight loss, any of those things are like, call your doctor immediately. But for the rest of it, I mean, really, if you're scared ever, call your doctor. We always want to say that. But
yeah.
there is a lot of stuff that can be normal, a normal part of healing. And yeah,
And
you'll get
call
through
your doctor. That's a huge point that you just said because we as women,
it.
we feel like, oh, we don't want to be pain in the asses
Right.
or too assertive. We're going to be like, the nag or this. No, that time we need to has come and gone. And you have to be your own advocate
Right.
because the squeaky wheel. We talk about this. So, we are assertive. We're not nags.
Well, I love that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Especially when it comes to our health and operations and scars and things. You feel something's not right, even 5, 10%, you call, you email, you text.
yes, yep. I love that. I think that is a great reminder to end on too. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, yes. All right, great.
Thanks, everyone. See you
Thank
soon.
you.